It's Oscar season, baby. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben. On this channel, I love to talk about movies and TV, and if you also love to talk about movies and TV, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Basically, for this video, I'm going to be talking about all of my picks and predictions for the 95th Annual Academy Awards. Be sure to let me know down below in the comment section what movies are you predicting to win, and also what movies would you want to win. Also be sharing some movies in a couple categories that I wished were nominated. I tried to watch all of the movies nominated. That includes like all 50 of them, and that's a hard task. I tried to do this so I could create the most fair picks for me and what movies that are predicted to win. What are my thoughts on them? I missed a couple here and there, but with all that being said, let's get started. Starting with Best International Feature Film, we have All Quiet on the Western Front, Argentina 1985, Close, EO, and The Quiet Girl. I have seen all of these movies except for Close and Argentina 1985. This category usually always goes to the movie that is nominated for Best Picture as well, and there's one movie in this category nominated for Best Picture of the 10 nominees. That is All Quiet on the Western Front, which basically means that this is going to be the winner here. It would be my pick as well. Out of the 5 movies here, that's the one I like the most. And All Quiet is a brilliant film. I'm obviously going to be talking about it more throughout multiple categories here. Let me move on to Best Animated Feature Film. We got stuff like Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell, Puss in Boots 2. I've seen all 5 of these movies. The Sea Beast is probably my least favorite, and my favorite of these would be Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. That was a very heartfelt and sweet movie that kind of went under the radar for a lot of people. So I'm glad it's getting some recognition at the Academy, though it's only nominated in one category. That would be my pick, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. But I think what's going to win is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which is a movie that I wasn't the biggest fan of, but I know a lot of people love that movie. Though Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio kind of swept in all the other award shows, and specifically in the animated categories, I wouldn't count out Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I feel like it's a sleeper hit that might win. You never know. For Best Documentary Feature, the only 2 that I haven't seen are A House Made of Splinters and All the Beauty and the Bloodshed. I would have loved to have seen a little documentary called Last Flight Home get nominated here. It completely went under really everyone's radar, but it did not get a nomination. My pick would go to Navalny. This isn't the strongest category though this year. But like I said, I haven't seen All the Beauty and the Bloodshed and A House Made of Splinters. Those 2 movies very well could have been my pick, but I haven't seen them. I'm predicting Fire of Love to win though, especially with the news of it getting a narrative film adaptation from Searchlight. I personally was not a fan of Fire of Love. It just wasn't for me. I wasn't really all that invested in the movie. But with the news of another version of the movie coming out, and I think a lot of people do like it, I think that's going to win. I know it might be silly that I'm saying because it's going to get a narrative feature film adaptation that it's going to win, but I think because of the news coming out, there's just a part of me that thinks that Oscar voters might vote for it in the documentary feature category, and they might be attracted to it more. Next up, for Best Achievement in Visual Effects, it would be stupid for anyone to say that Avatar is not going to win this category. It will win. It's a movie that really is all visual effects, and it is arguably the movie that has the best visual effects, I'd argue, of all time. It is really cool to see Top Gun Maverick in this category as well, but my pick and prediction is going to be Avatar: The Way of Water. It's a really good pick as well. For Best Original Song, it's going to be so cool to see RRR win for Naatu Naatu. That is straight up my prediction. It's had the most momentum over the course of the award season. Plus, it is one of the best sequences of the entire film, arguably the most memorable sequence of the movie. And I can't wait to see it performed live at the Oscars, because that is going to be so cool. It's going to get the crowd moving. Everyone's going to be jumping out of their seats and dancing along. It's the type of song that does that. It's exactly the type of song that's going to bring out the emotions from audience members. Hold My Hand from Top Gun Maverick, that's another great song, but I think Naatu Naatu is going to win. For Best Original Score, I think a lot of people are worried that Babylon won't win in this category because of the other movies like The Fabelmans with John Williams. Of course, another Oscar veteran nominated in the category. All Quiet has a chance of sweeping all of the technical categories, so that's another movie that's going against Babylon. I do think Babylon is going to be the winner at the end of the day though. It also would be my pick. It was one of the standouts of a movie that I'm fairly mixed on. For Best Achievement in Makeup and Hairstyling, it's really between The Whale and Elvis, I feel. Particularly in Elvis, you have Tom Hanks in a shit ton of prosthetics. On the other hand, you also have Brendan Fraser in a shit shit ton of prosthetics. And the prosthetics for Brendan Fraser, I feel like just adds another layer to his performance, if that makes sense. Because you really just see the character of Charlie that he is portraying. That would be my pick. I think it stands out the most in The Whale. But also in Elvis, you have stuff like the older version of Elvis. There's a lot of prosthetics on Austin Butler. Also, Elvis's style, there's a lot of makeup going for it. And I feel like Elvis might win in this category as well. The Whale also didn't really perform as well as a lot of people were predicting to in other categories, and whereas Elvis did. So I think Elvis is going to win in makeup and hairstyling. For best sound, I would be hard pressed to not go with Top Gun Maverick because the sound is a big part of making that movie so immersive. But we also have All Quiet on the Western Front, which has some terrific sound work there. Plus the Batman, if not for the sequence alone of just the Batmobile revving up, which is one of the most memorable sequences of the movie. It's a pretty stacked category. I would go for my pick and prediction to be Top Gun Maverick. This could be one of the only awards that Top Gun Maverick comes home with at the end of the night. And I think it is very deserving of this award. For Best Achievement in Costume Design, the only movie that I haven't seen in this category is Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. Even just from the poster though, you can tell that's a very costume design heavy movie. Everything Everywhere has some great costumes. Elvis has some great costumes. Black Panther Wakanda Forever has some really great costumes. And with veteran Ruth E. Carter doing that movie, I think there's a good chance that she will win. I wouldn't count out Elvis though. My pick would probably go for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, especially just because the costumes of Wakanda are so original. So I'm predicting Wakanda Forever to win, but there's a chance that Elvis could take the award. For Best Achievement in Production Design, I love Babylon's production design. That was another one of my favorite parts of the movie. Also Avatar, for a movie that doesn't really seem like it would have that much production design. At the end of the day, even though it's heavily visual effects, there is a lot of production design that goes into the movie that I think a lot of us underestimate. All Quiet though, that's another great reason of making the movies feel so immersive in that war, dark and grimy look that it has to it in the production design. But also the Fabelmans, how that's able to transport you back to like the 50s, 60s, 70s. That's incredible. But both my prediction and pick is going to go to Babylon. For film editing, Elvis and Everything Everywhere All at Once, I feel like, are the two movies that are racing for the win. I just don't think it's going to go to Banshees. I don't think it's going to go to Top Gun Maverick or Tar. The editing in Everything Everywhere is really remarkable. It's something, specifically in some sequences when they're transporting you back to different multiverses. I can't help but watch some of the sequences and just think to myself, wow, that must have taken a lot of time for editor Paul Rogers. But also Elvis, that movie has a lot of flashy editing in it, as it is a Baz Luhrmann movie, and his movies tend to have a lot of flashy editing. I think Everything Everywhere is going to win this category, especially if it's going to win another big category coming up that we're going to talk about later. My pick though would go to Elvis, and I also wouldn't count it out to win as well. While I'm predicting Everything Everywhere, Elvis's editing on a second watch really stood out to me. I think it was one of the coolest parts about the movie, and that's why it's going to be my pick. For cinematography, basically all of these movies, I wouldn't be disappointed if either of them won. I was a fan of Empire of Light, and I thought the cinematography from Roger Deakins in that movie was astounding. I really was not a big fan of Tar, and the cinematography didn't stand out to me there. Elvis had some good cinematography, and Bardo, arguably the only redeeming part about that movie for me was cinematography. I do think All Quiet is going to win though. It would be my pick as well. How it's able to capture the scenery and some of just the beautiful shots and haunting shots of war as well. Like I mentioned, I think it's going to sweep in most of the technical categories. Now we get into Best Adapted Screenplay with All Quiet, Glass Onion, Living, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking. This is one of the categories that could very well be a toss-up because, while I think, let's say, Glass Onion has the least chance of winning, Living with the surprise nomination, to me, I thought Top Gun Maverick with also another surprise nomination. I think the winner is going to be, at the end of the day, Women Talking. It also could very well be All Quiet on the Western Front, though, with it getting so many nominations and being a Best Picture nominee. Women Talking, on the other hand, it is a Best Picture nominee. Did not get that many nominations though. Sarah Polley though has been working in the industry for a while, and I think the Academy might just be like, here, you deserve this award. I think the screenplay in that movie, while not perfect, is one of the more interesting parts about the movie, and it didn't really stand out to me all that much in All Quiet. I do think it's gonna go to Sarah Polley for Women Talking. That's my prediction. My pick would honestly just go to Top Gun Maverick because I love that movie. The screenplay is the part of the movie that not a lot of people are going to be talking about after watching that movie. It would be my pick. For Best Original Screenplay, with Everything Everywhere, Banshees, The Fabelmans, Triangle of Sadness, and Tar, The two movies that I think have the least shot of winning, Triangle of Sadness and Tar. I think there's a chance that The Fabelmans could win, just like a very small chance, probably like 10%, because of Academy Award winners Steven Spielberg and Tony Kushner writing that movie. Obviously veterans in the industry. I think Martin McDonagh was the predicted winner for a while before Everything Everywhere came and kind of had this really good momentum as of recently. I'm not the biggest fan of Banshee, so that definitely wouldn't be my pick. My pick and prediction is going to go to Everything Everywhere. I think the Daniels are going to win a lot of awards. I was not a fan of Triangle of Sadness or Tar, like I mentioned. And also The Fabelmans, for that matter, didn't really click with me. And Martin McDonagh has not won an Oscar yet. There's a chance that the Academy could be like, here's your Oscar that we know you've been waiting for a while for. And I know it's kind of scummy just give someone an Oscar when maybe their movie wasn't the greatest, in my opinion. But that's how the Academy works, unfortunately. If you're a veteran in the industry, they might be hard-pressed to just give you the award because of what you've done for movies across decades even. The Academy works in mysterious ways, but I think my pick and prediction is going to go to Everything Everywhere. Plus, the screenplay in that movie is so original, and I think it's totally deserving of the award. Best achievement in directing, I don't think it's going to go to anyone else other than the Daniels. I've talked about the momentum that Everything Everywhere has had. They've swept a lot of the awards, which most of the time are precursors for the Oscars. Spielberg, again, would only really have a chance because of the fact that he is such a veteran. Basically the GOAT filmmaker of all time. And The Fabelmans is a very personal story, and I think the Academy might be looking at that one more than Everything Everywhere because of Everything Everywhere being so wacky and it not working for maybe older Oscar voters that kind of just go for the straight up movies that just hit the usual beats. Everything Everywhere is a movie that is very wacky, it's very out there. I don't know if some Oscar voters might be turned off by that. Steven Spielberg's The Fabelmans, very straightforward, honest and tender movie. I'm not saying that Everything Everywhere isn't that, but The Fabelmans is far less wacky. And like I said, so I think some Oscar voters might be turned off by that, but I think there's just a very small chance of that happening. I really do think the Daniels are going to win. And they would be my pick as well, as I love Everything Everywhere. Best performance by an actress in a supporting role. This is one of the toughest categories to predict, I feel. And it is also arguably the category that I'm having the hardest time picking my pick. Who would I want to win? Because none of these performances really did that much for me. I think they're all really solid to great. It's a three-way race between Angela Bassett, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Carrie Condon. I did not think that Carrie Condon had the strongest chance, but because of her winning BAFTA, there's a possibility there, and with Jamie Lee Curtis being a veteran in the industry, which I've said a lot in this video, but it is true that does sometimes really work for the Oscars. This is her first time being nominated. She has had a tremendous career. She has like one of the smallest performances in that movie alongside James Hong. And Angela Bassett, she has also been nominated before, never won before. Obviously been in the industry for a long time, totally delivered in that movie. Again, she has a smaller role in the movie, but I guess that's why this is supporting role performances. Hong Chow, though, I kind of overlooked her performance in The Whale because it is the Brendan Fraser show. But honestly, the more that I thought about it, her performance in that movie was really solid. I would go for my pick to be for Hong Chow. I am going to be predicting Jamie Lee Curtis to win the award, though, especially if Everything Everywhere is going to sweep in almost all of the acting categories, with supporting actress and then a couple more that I'm going to be talking about in a second. There's also Stephanie Hsu, who is competing against Jamie Lee Curtis, but I don't think she's going to win. It could go to Carrie Condon, it could go to Angela Bassett. I do think it's going to go to Jamie Lee Curtis, though. Angela Bassett for a while was the predicted winner, but I think she's lost momentum as of recently. And with the Oscar voting session being open right after Everything Everywhere's big night at the SAG Awards, and Jamie Lee Curtis's speech there really just highlighting Michelle Yeoh specifically, a veteran in the industry. It's funny looking at all of the stuff that goes into what is going to be predicted to win, who will win, stuff like that. I think Jamie Lee Curtis is going to win. My pick, Hong Chow. Best Supporting Actor, arguably the easiest category of the night. If they don't give the award to Ke Huy Quan, that will be just absolutely egregious. We will riot the streets. Ke Huy Quan, my pick and prediction. All the other performances in this category, they're good. Judd Hirsch, I don't really know why they gave him a nomination, though. He's barely even in the movie. His performance in that movie is just okay, I thought. Fairly overacting. Brian Tyree Henry, I love to see him getting the nomination. His performance very subdued in Causeway, but one of the highlights. Brendan Gleeson, Barry Keoghan, though, one of my favorite parts. Probably my favorite part of Banshees. My pick and prediction, Ke Huy Quan. Best performance by an actress in a leading role. the category that probably caused the most controversy, with Andrea Riseborough getting a nomination, a story that if you want to do more research on, it's a fairly interesting story. I won't go too in depth here because there's a lot that goes into it, but I would highly suggest checking out Dan Murrell's video talking all about the nomination. I'll leave it linked right up above, and that's a good watch to go check out after this video. It really is a race between Cate Blanchett and Michelle Yeoh for this category, I feel. Cate Blanchett's performance in Tar was just not for me. I think it's getting a lot of praise, not praise that isn't necessarily deserved, but it just didn't really do much for me. And her performance is the backbone of Tar, and not one of the reasons why I think that movie falls apart necessarily. Michelle Williams, I thought, did a lot of overacting. Andrea Riseborough, though, solid performance. It's a good nomination, not personally my pick. And then Ana de Armas for Blonde. I didn't even finish that movie, just couldn't really get into it. I think Michelle Yeoh, though, powerhouse performance in Everything Everywhere, totally deserving of the award. My pick and prediction is going to be Michelle Yeoh. I wouldn't count out Cate Blanchett winning, though. She's definitely not my pick, like I said. Michelle Yeoh, though, I think with the momentum, with everything going into it, with Everything Everywhere, possibly, maybe winning Best Picture. We're going to talk about that in a sec. Michelle Yeoh is my pick and prediction for Best Actress. And then with Best Actor, Austin Butler, Bill Nye, Brendan Fraser, Colin Farrell, and Paul Mescal. Really solid nominations here. Overall, really solid category. It's a three-way race between Fraser, Farrell, and Austin Butler, though. It always has been Paul Mescal and Bill Nye. They kind of just rounded out the category. My pick it's been one that I've been thinking about for a while. I personally wouldn't go for Colin Farrell. Not a big fan of Banshees. It's between Fraser and Butler for me. I liked Elvis overall more as a movie than The Whale. Austin Butler is a young actor. He's got a long career ahead of him. I could see him getting another nomination down the road. Brendan Fraser, though, we're in the Fraser-sance, whatever they want to call it. With him being gone for a couple of years, it's a crazy performance. He has a once-in-a-lifetime kind of performance, something that just knocked everyone's socks off. Such a tender and rich performance. But Austin Butler, in a biopic, playing Elvis, the Oscars have a tendency to look more towards biopics. I didn't see Austin Butler in the role. I saw Elvis. Because I like the movie more, and because I think his performance is just ever so slightly stronger than Brendan Fraser, even though I gave him such big amounts of praise, I would go for Austin Butler as both my pick and prediction. I gotta go with my gut feeling. When I think about it, I don't see Fraser walking home with the award. Very possible, though. I would love to see him win. Austin Butler, though, I think he's just got it going for him. He's my pick and prediction. And then we have Best Picture, which of course the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Banshees of Inisherin, Fabelmans, Top Gun: Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, Tar, and Women Talking. I think this is really just between All Quiet and Everything Everywhere. I feel like this award season is very similar to the 2020 award season between Parasite and 1917. It really was down to the wire. People were going back and forth predicting 1917, then Parasite, then back and forth. It's a very similar story in some ways. Everything Everywhere being the underdog, Parasite fairly underdog-ish kind of movie, All Quiet and 1917 being two war epics. For me, it's like 80% Everything Everywhere, 20% All Quiet. Like there's like still that chance I could maybe see it, but Everything Everywhere, it's gonna pull out the win. I'm so happy that it's gonna do that. It is my pick and prediction. One of the best movies of 2022, one of the most original movies that I've seen in a while. It's a little movie that it's so funny because the movie actually premiered 1 year ago on March 11th, right after it could potentially win Best Picture March 12th, 2023 at the Oscars. A year and a day later after it premiered at South by Southwest, I don't think that anyone could have predicted it to win Best Picture that long ago, but here I am, I'm predicting it. It is my pick and prediction, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And quick disclaimer, if you're wondering why I didn't talk about the shorts categories, it's because I just didn't get enough time to check out all of the shorts. And I unfortunately don't have as much knowledge in those categories per se. I just figured I would talk about the categories that I know the most about, excluding the shorts ones. But guys, those are my picks and predictions for the 95th Academy Awards. Let me know down below in the comment section, what are you predicting to win? What do you want to win? What do you wish was nominated? I want to know all of that and more down below. I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and again, if you did enjoy it, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as that notification bell so you don't miss any further videos. And as always, look forward to more videos and reviews coming soon. My name is Ben, people call me Meter, and I'll see you guys in the next one.